Hi, welcome to data engineering. We have done data loading by file into Excel Power Query. Then we did some data quality checks. We updated data source. We did some removal of columns. We did some pivot tables, and we did some removal of duplicate rows. And so today we're going to look at pivot charts. Okay, so here, this is a brief look at the pivot charts that we have, and we're going to go through how we're going to build this. Okay, so go to your data, uh, select your control home, control shift down and across the table. Okay, and that's going to put it into a new worksheet. Click OK. And I'm going to call this sheet pivot chart demo. Okay. First thing we're going to do is drop in the country name. Then we'll drop it into in the rows the month, number, and we're going to put in volume into the sum of values, and we're going to select the drop down here, value field settings. I'm going to choose average. Okay, so you can see the chart here. So, right, but the pivot table doesn't look very presentable, so we're going to click into the pivot table, click on design, change the report layout to tabular. Okay, then we see that we have these subtotals for the countries, so we don't want that. We click on subtotals, so do not show subtotals. Okay, then we have the country names, but they are not repeated everywhere. Let's just clean it up and make it repeat all item labels. Okay, and if you scroll to the bottom, there is a grand total as well. You can leave it there or remove it if you want to. If you want to remove it, then go to the design grand totals and off for rows and columns. So there's no more grand total at the end. Okay. Click into this pivot table, right click pivot table options, and I'm going to rename it as pivot table for volume. So we want to also explore another field called dwell. So if I were to select columns A, B, and C and copy and just paste it into another set of columns here. Okay, adjust this. And so now we have another pivot table. We right click it, click into this pivot table. We're going to remove the volume field on the right and replace it with average dwell. Again, change the sum to average by going to value field settings in a drop down. Change it to average. It does work, but we have a problem here. After we changed the volume to dwell here, we did not change it here for the right. So we have to do the same thing as well. So remove the volume, but you cannot do that, right? Both it's connected. So these two charts are connected. Okay, that changes to dwell. So I'll just put the volume back here. Can't do that. Okay, so just delete this chart. All right, I'm going to create a new one. Select the second pivot table, insert recommended chart. Okay, and now we just select test our slicer. It works for both pivot tables and pivot chart. Right. So double check the report connections. Yes, it's connected to it. Okay, so we need to rename that pivot table 2 as well to PT dwell. So click into that pivot table, right click pivot table options and rename it PT dwell. Okay, double check the report connections again on the slicer. Okay, now it's connected to any pivot table to insert slicer. This time I'm going to slice by continent. Okay, now we're able to, okay, the multi-select, select all countries. Now we just filter by, right, and clear the filter on the countries. Now you just select by continents and you can see that it changes. So with these many countries, now it's going to show all countries, but it's going to highlight the ones that are in the selected. Select this country slicer, right click, go to slicer settings, hide items with no data, click OK. All right, now we have a cleaner look. So click on Africa, Americas. Now you see these are the countries. Okay, when you remove, click on Oceania, display the filters we have. Right, click clear filters to get back to reset everything. Okay. The next thing we want to do is also to add uh, like the container type. Okay, so we can just click on, any pivot table again, insert slicer, and select container type. Okay, click on it to test. Okay, it's connected to the second pivot table. Let's look at report connections. Let's select both. We want to connect to both pivot tables. Okay, so now we can filter by container type. Okay, so let's go to Asia. Okay, let's clear all the filters. Then let's go to Asia and okay, let's see. We have turn off multi-select and select Singapore. And you can basically go through each of these container types and see how what the volume is and the dwell is over different months, right? So tankers only have data in September. Okay, so that's it. We clear the filters and it's the data for Singapore. Okay, that concludes the demo for today.